Hello, 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 ladies and gentlemen. This is Dr. Mary Payton with All About STEM Radio. And as you know, I come to you every Wednesday from 6 to 7 o'clock here on the Blue Bowl of Fishbowl Radio Network. So, guess what, y'all? Y'all not going to believe this. I, oh, I have a sponsor, and I am in love with this organization. It is the Brit Technical Institute. They are a biomedical and imaging and security training company that's opening in Bedford, and they are under Redwell Education Management. And so I'm going to say hey to Miss Jewel and Douglas and Lisa and all of the wonderful people who are now sponsoring my show for the next few months. And, it's wonderful being a part of them. Also, don't forget, this is the month of the military child, so Taylor STEM Adventures. You can get it on Amazon, Barnes& and Noble, Walmart. So I have the Texas book and the Hawaii book. Hello, Taylor. I see you have joined us, and we're talking about Mommy's books. And also, uh, the National Society of Black Engineers has their, from Lockheed Martin, have their scholarship that is posted on the All About STEM Radio Show Facebook page. So make sure you check it out. And I'm going to get Rashad for sending it to me so late. So I'm going to be getting on him because it is due very, very soon. That is the National Society of Black Engineers Professional at Lockheed Martin, and they have their scholarship coming out. And don't forget, I'm here every Wednesday on All About STEM Radio Show, being sponsored by Brit Technical Institute. Well, I have got to tell y'all, I have the coolest guest this week. I have some Fort Worth not Fort Worth. Oh my goodness, I'm gonna get. Cathy's gonna throw something at me. Arlington ISD professionals. I have Principal Longoria from Hill Elementary, Mrs. Smith.
Hello.
Yes, Mrs. Smith, also from Hill Elementary, and also coming soon, Principal Boyd from Ellis Elementary. He's running a little late. He had a principal's meeting, but I want y'all to say hello.
Hi, this is Cathy Smith.
Hello. Thank you for having us.
Okay. I want to start a little bit. Miss Longoria, would you tell my audience a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. So my name is Kasie Longoria, and like Dr. Payton said, this is my first year as a principal in general, and it's my first year as a principal at Hill Elementary. I started my teaching career in Wiley ISD, which is a little suburb outside of Plano, and I taught 3rd and 4th grade for 5 years. After that, I went over to Dallas ISD and was an assistant principal for 2 years there at a school out in Seagaville. And then I made my way to Arlington, and I was an AP for 1 year at Wood Elementary, and this is my first year getting to be the principal at Hill, and it's been an absolute joy.
And, I thought you had been a principal for at least 3 years. The way you handle everything, you are amazing.
Oh, well, thank you. I have amazing people around me, so it helps.
Yes, and to my audience, I've got to tell you, I've got to brag on my next guest a little bit. Her name is Miss Cathy Smith, and she allows me to come into her 4-year-old class every Friday and do science labs. And I'm going to tell you, this is an amazing teacher with an amazing group of 4-year-olds, and they are so bright. So, Cathy, introduce yourself, please.
Well, thank you. I don't think anything else needs to be said. No. But I'll give you the boring details.
Oh, stop.
Let's see. I got my college degree late in life when I was 51 years old, and my first teaching job was in the AISD in pre-K 3. Taught pre-K 3 for 12 years and then was moved to pre-K 4. And then I had the opportunity to be moved to all-day pre-K at Hill, and it's been an absolute blessing. And fortunately for me, it was also the year Kasie started being principal, and she is wonderful.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. You are wonderful as well. It's been the most amazing addition having pre-K at our campus this year. And Cathy, like you said, Dr. Payton is the most tremendous teacher and does remarkable things with our kids. And they are kindergarten ready and they are life ready. So she is fabulous.
Yeah, because you know what got me in coming into the K4 class, I was thinking I was going to come into like a madhouse. And
Mm-hmm.
her discipline is so phenomenal. I take note from her because she kind of laughs at me when I have a little issue with a kid. You know, they're not doing what they're supposed to do, and I'll call them over, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" And they have to explain it to me. But I mean, such good discipline with her
Oh, yeah.
4-year-olds. They're great. How did you come across making sure, I mean, with your little clap when you want to get their attention? You know, does that just come natural? Is that something?
No, that comes from seriously excellent team members and the years I've been teaching, and Arlington ISD has excellent training available for all their teachers and other employees that would like to come to the trainings. So in just 15 years, there's so many things that have been offered that I've been able to take advantage of.
Ooh, that is so great. Because, you know, teachers, they need that support, they need that training, and every year things change. I mean, they
Mm-hmm.
change so much. But I want to ask y'all a question. I'm going to start with Principal Longoria. Elementary education, especially in Arlington ISD, um, when we look at early childhood literacy, what are some of the things that you like for your teachers to focus on? Or how important is that? Let me ask that question first.
Well, I think it's extremely important. Early childhood literacy. If they can come into school early at the age of 3 or 4 and learn those basic foundations of phonemic awareness and letter identification and knowing how the letters sound and how to put them together and blend them, then they are going to be able to read at an earlier age. And we all know that when you finally can unlock the power of reading, it unlocks so many different avenues for you. And so I've been really excited sort of to see the groundwork that Arlington ISD is doing for next year. Their vision really is for every single campus in Arlington ISD to have an all-day paid pre-K program because
Wow.
they see the impact and the benefit of of early childhood education. So that is the direction the district is going. Right now, I think Hill is only one of 4 or 5 schools that has all-day paid pre-K, but they are already in the trenches of looking at the maps of schools to seeing what classrooms that they could expand on or add on in order to have all-day pre-K at every single campus.
Hmm. I mean, that is interesting and phenomenal because I'm noticing with the kids that I get to come and play with, they are they learn so much. I walked into Miss Smith's class one day, and you know I'm gonna talk about you, Miss Smith, because you know I love you like a sister. And they had reading time, and every kid had a book. And some of her kids can some of your kids read some of the books a little bit?
Yes.
And they everybody had a book, and it was quiet, and they were going through the
Right.
book.
Yes.
And Miss Smith, how important is having them touch a book and having them actually read, or try to read, or start reading, or recognizing letters?
It's a vital step in learning to read well, obviously. But, you know, the little things we take for granted, like how to turn a page, moving from left to right with the print, going from top to bottom, all of those things don't come naturally.
They sure don't.
They're from us showing them through our example when we read to them. And even if we didn't direct teach it, most of them would pick that up anyway. But we do, of course, look at my finger, it's going across this way. And sometimes we ask them to do that too. But when they're doing that with the book, really all I've asked them to do is, it's one of the pre-K guidelines, is I can look at a book and tell a story from the pictures.
Uh-huh.
And so they pretend they're reading. But
Mhm.
the ones who can't read are looking at the pictures and deciding what they might what kind of meaning they're trying to impart to the reader. And so that segues to the writing program.
Yeah.
That Arlington started, where the children draw a picture and then write the best they can below. It might be scribbling, or it might actually be first and last letter of the words, or even at this time of year, whole words coming out, that you see them writing of what their story is, and it all ties in together. I think they learn to read from learning to write a lot.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, this is Dr. Mary Payton with All About STEM Radio. And we are being sponsored by Britt Technical Institute in Bedford, Texas. And today's guests are from Arlington ISD, from Hill Elementary, and eventually from Ellis Elementary. I'm waiting for Principal Boyd to get here. And if you've got any thoughts or questions about your children's early education, please listen to the show, call somebody, have them listen to the show, because this is information you can't get everywhere. But, Miss Smith, I'm going to tell you something that I've noticed about your kids when I first started, and you had them writing their names.
Yes, ma'am.
I had no clue what they were, and your teaching assistant, Miss Louise.
Mm-hmm. Louise.
Yep,
mm-hmm.
she's so sweet. Hey, Miss Louise.
She's amazing.
She said we can figure out what they're trying to do. And was it about 2 or 3 weeks ago? I was looking, and I had them all write their name, and I could understand what they were writing. They have gotten so much better.
Yes, they have.
And that's from
hard. And the parents work hard. We send home a tracer sheet with their name on it, and the parents participate in their education. That is so helpful.
It is. Yes, we have at Hill. We have a lot of parent involvement, and I would say that the majority of the kiddos in Miss Smith's pre-K class are very involved, and it is a vital piece in building literacy and building those skills that our kids need to be ready for kindergarten. And so we are blessed in that regard. But Miss Smith is phenomenal. I go in her classroom, and I was in there to do an observation recently, and they were doing what makes an insect, what are the parts of an insect, and what's not an insect. And just the academic vocabulary that they were using was mind-blowing.
Oh, wow, because I noticed she had it on her wall one day when I came up.
Yes, that was fun. Although it's
it's amazing. So just their brain, like you were saying, their brains are like little sponges, and so it's so important for them to get this opportunity to be in pre-K all day because they are just soaking it all in.
Yeah, and, you know, their vocabulary is amazing. I mean, some of the kids,
yes.
Because I try to bring vocabulary in when I come and do STEM projects with them, but they remember and they use the words, and 90% of the time they use it correctly. So,
yes,
you know,
they do.
They're sponges. That's why, you know, we have to be careful, parents, teachers, friends, family. You have to be careful what you say around some of these kids, because they will repeat it.
Yes, they will.
They will repeat it, and they can use your cell phone and your iPad better than you can.
Yes, ma'am, they can.
Now, I want to talk a little bit about STEM at your school. You don't have STEM. You have a STEAM lab. Is that correct, Ms. Longoria?
We actually have we call it a STEM lab. So it's science, technology, engineering, and math. And this is our first year. It just opened up about September, October. We hired our STEM lab manager in October, Audrey Orr, and she's phenomenal. So this is a new concept and a new system at Hill Elementary, and it's been amazing.
What are some of the things that the kids have gotten to do?
Well, they have gotten to, like, for 5th grade science, that's where they do a lot of, pretty much for all the grades, that's where they do their hands-on experiments. whether that is learning how to use the scientific tools to measure, or they've actually gotten to, I've seen a 6th grade classroom go in there to look at force in motion using actual toy cars. And we've actually had lots of math teachers go in there and do different math workshops and math rotations because the STEM lab has come with tons of manipulatives. And the beautiful thing about it is that our STEM lab manager, that is her only job, is to work collaboratively with teachers to look at what their upcoming objectives are, to help plan labs that align with what they're needing to be doing in the classroom. And so the teacher comes in with the kids, and Miss Orr, our STEM lab manager, she already has all the stations and rotations set up, ready to go, and she's just an additional set of hands. So it has been a beautiful thing. Our 5th grade science scores, our 5th graders, they take the Science Star in 5th grade. And last year, I believe they had an 86% pass rate, and this year on their benchmark, their science benchmark, they were already at 92% pass rate. So they've already surpassed where they were at the end of last year. And I really do contribute that to the opportunity for them to get those hands-on real-world opportunities in the STEM lab, in addition to their amazing science teacher as well.
We have somebody from South Korea that's watching. Not North Korea, South Korea. It just popped across, and I'm like, ooh.
No computers in North Korea.
No. Now, your STEM lab, your STEM education, how has that affected your other learning, or has it had an effect on some of the other learning in your school?
Well, I know for sure, like I was saying a little bit earlier, our math teachers, we have several math teachers that go into the STEM lab and use it for math. And they're our math 5th grade math scores. Their first benchmark they took, they had 97% pass rate. So they are utilizing it not just for science. And I feel like that was a misconception I had too, that STEM was science. No. And the STEM lab was to use for science. But no, our math teachers are using it. We have on every Thursday, our teachers are in PLCs with us, which are professional learning communities. And during that time, our kids get to go out to enrichment rotations, and the STEM lab is used for that. And they are doing makerspace. We have a Lego wall in there, so they're building and creating based on these different task cards of what they need to make from the Legos. So we really are trying to utilize the space for not just science, but integrating technology in there, engineering and math. And it's been really neat to watch. And our STEM lab manager could not be more talented and intentional and organized. She's already sent out a Google Doc to all of our teachers and asked them to give her feedback on what they have enjoyed about the STEM lab this year and what they would like to see different next year, so that way she can intentionally meet their needs in a different way. So it's just been really, really cool. Our 1st grade teachers actually have ordered like Lincoln logs and some of those more like creative side, creative tools for their kiddos to use in the STEM lab, because that's sort of the angle they want to go at. And so I really have seen it be utilized in many, many different ways, and it's been amazing. Our kids absolutely love it.
I have a comment from Miss Deborah. She said, you mentioned a key point, a science teacher in addition to the classroom teacher. Teamwork makes the STEM work. I love that.
It does. I love that.
But I'm going to talk about Miss Smith's class a little bit real quick. I love how her classroom is set up. She has like this big, huge thing of blocks, and when I first came, you were just letting the kids build, and then the next step, you gave them like little sheets to see if they could build using the patterns. I watch how your kids grow. You have a kitchen. You have a lot of more science equipment that I've ever seen in a elementary STEM classroom. But as your kids are working in stations, they know how to not just act, but how to actually relate to the station. How important are your stations to you, Miss Smith?
They're vital. They're because I'm a big proponent, and I think most people are, and of well, I guess recently it's been called active learning. But hands-on, if you let them touch something and do it themselves, like instead of me showing them, you pour this square thing into this tube, all the water doesn't fit, so I don't talk about that. But if they each have their own thing to do it with, it's been proven by research that sticks with them, and they can use it to reason further things from that experience because they got to feel it. And it works all the way up the grades. Of course. And I just and the social skills that they learn working together like that are invaluable. The blocks, I love blocks because of the math implications and the engineering implications.
Yes.
And some of the things to me, I'm just take a picture of it, send it on Class Dojo to their parents. Here's your little future engineer, because they build some amazing structures and they know what it is. They had a plan, and then they put it all together. I love it.
They're amazing, and I mean, you have them doing so many things. And ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, if you're just now coming in, where's Principal Boyd standing out there? Get in here. If you're just listening in, this is Dr. Mary Payton with All About STEM Radio. And for the next few weeks, we are being sponsored by Britt Technical Institute, which is a wonderful, wonderful school that is opening in Hurst. Check out my Facebook page and look them up and see what's going on with them. Principal Boyd just stepped in. He's putting on some hits. Yeah, this is Principal Longoria. This is one of her sidekicks. When I first started coming to her school, she's like, "You're not going to his school, are you?" I said, "No, just your school."
That's right, girl.
And she goes,
we have
I bet
you
he's jealous.
You're our VIP guest every Friday.
Hey, Principal Boyd, I know you're coming in a little late because you had some things that you had to do, training and stuff. But would you introduce yourself to my audience and tell them what school you're at and stuff like that?
All right. 1 2 1 2. I love the mic. So hello to everyone. I'm Principal Keith Boyd from right here in Arlington, Texas, AISD. I'm the principal at Ellis Elementary here in Arlington, and we are a pre-K through 6 campus, and we, of course, service students in the area of STEM, which I'm hoping will one day be STEAM in our district, but right now we're STEM. So I'm happy to be here and just add some insight into what's going on my campus and in the district.
Okay. And Keith, Principal Boyd, because I keep calling Principal Longoria, Principal Longoria. Principal Boyd, we've already talked about early childhood literacy. Your school goes up to which grade, 5th grade or 6th grade?
6th grade.
6th grade?
Yes.
Do you have a K-4 program?
We do, yes.
Okay.
So pre-K, our campus service is pre-K through 6. So yes, we do go up to 6th grade.
Okay. So how important is that that pre-K for your, I mean, not the pre-K, but the early childhood literacy for your campus?
Well, as many of us know, early childhood literacy is extremely important. We know that right now in the legislature, they're trying to push for full day pre-K programs,
yes,
because we know that it's essential that students are exposed to literacy at a very early age for many reasons. But the sooner that they are reading and exposed to literature, of course, the better they can develop for their future. So it's extremely important. And I'm looking forward to opportunities to push that in, not only in the district, but in our community as well.
Oh, yeah. And I want to ask this question. I'm going to start with Ms. Smith, and I want y'all to chime in. I noticed, Ms. Smith, in your classroom, you have a iPad cart.
Yes, ma'am.
What are some of the things that you do with the with my babies? Because you know those are my kids. With my babies, with your iPad cart.
This year, being my first year at Hill, I'm using a math program called Reasoning Mind, and then a book,
Okay.
a library, a virtual library that's available, and then I have books and other things on there that they can use that are more creating things.
Okay.
But mostly we just use it for that this year.
Okay.
Next year I plan to expand the things that we do with the iPad cart. The district has provided us with 22, so that if I have the maximum number of students, I will have a mini iPad for each student, and that's very great.
Okay, Principal Longoria, technology, the utilization of technology in your school. Can you give me a little background about that and how it's used? And I know y'all used Class Dojo. I love that because, you know, parents can keep up with what's going on and teachers can post things. But when we talk about the utilization of technology in the classroom, what is your take on that?
Oh, yes. Well, I think technology is amazing if it's used correctly. And so something that I lead at my campus is we need to be using technology to create and collaborate, not just to consume information. Our kids spend hours outside of school consuming things on an iPad, and just they need to also be creating and contributing in some way. So we, like our kindergarten through second grade teachers, they are utilizing Seesaw, which is an online portfolio. And I've been in kindergarten classrooms where our little learners are in their centers and they're working on their product. And in order for the teacher to be able to see what they're doing, the kiddos get the iPad, they take a picture of what they created, and then they voice over what their product is about, and they actually explain what they did to the teacher, and then the teacher and the parent can see that throughout the day and interact with the kid in their learning. In our upper grades, we have teachers who use Google Classroom, and they'll actually put videos on there that the kids need to watch the night before, kind of like a flipped learning approach. And so our kiddos will go home, they'll watch those videos, and then the next day they are already able to dig into the content in a deeper way because they already have had kind of an overarching view of what they are going to learn about. So I think technology is great. It needs to be used in the right way, but I think our teachers have to be trained on all the different ways that technology can be used to add value to our kids. And our kids need to learn digital citizenship. They need to learn how to utilize technology safely, how to use it to create and collaborate, but not to misuse at the same time. And that's been something that we've kind of been learning through this year. We have been using technology way more this year than they have in the past. And so that's kind of been something like organically that we're learning, is that some of our kids don't have the social skills or the background knowledge of how to utilize technology appropriately. And so it is our job to not only teach them the benefit of it, but also safe ways to use it so that they can be productive members in our school and outside of school.
Exactly. And you know what I noticed when I come to the class, there have been times that we have done experiments in the class that some of my 4-year-olds, and I'm going to keep calling them my 4-year-olds, have seen online, but they haven't got to do themselves. And they are so excited now, and they'll tell me, oh, I saw this on this YouTube channel. Oh, we actually really get to do that? I'm like, sure. And they love it. They love it. Principal Boyd, what about technology utilization in your school?
Well, Principal Longoria hit on some very important key key information in this kind of shift. And really, it's not that we're preparing for this shift. The shift has happened, and as educators, we need to really get in front of this so that we are better preparing our students. The example that I kind of want to give, I'm an Android user, so I have an Android phone, and as I'm preparing to switch over to an Apple device, I'm doing all this research, and I'm extremely nervous. All my friends have the iPhone, and I'm still hanging on, and they're telling me about the advantages, and I have other people who are talking about the disadvantages. But this idea of switching phones is very scary to me because
that's the same with me. I'm an Android user myself.
Yeah, so as an educated adult, I'm extremely nervous about the idea of getting a device and not being able to know how to use it and all its benefits. But what we do know about kids is that when you put technology in front of them, most of them do not shy away.
No.
It's almost as though they innately know how to use this device before, and they can do things on the device, instantly that, the rest of us adults, have to research or be taught. So we know that there has been a shift where kids are used to adapting to technology.
Yeah.
So when Ms. Principal Longoria said that we need to prepare our adults to be ready to educate in that type of setting where technology is, it's not an afterthought. All of our lessons are designed around the use of technology. In order to really be prepared for that shift, there needs to be some education around how to make that happen for the educators, because the kids are ready. And that's the big thing on my campus. I see that, at one point we were talking about, well, if we could just get the devices, if we could just get technology. Well, many of the districts around us, many of our schools have the technology now. So the question is now, what do we do? How do we prepare our adults to be ready to educate in this this technological world that we live in? The kids are ready, and oftentimes the kids can, jump in and teach adults things that we would never even think to do with technology. When Principal Longoria mentioned Seesaw is one of the programs that I am blown away with how kids can do things in the classroom and use the Seesaw program to kind of display and to archive all of the different things that they're doing in the classroom. So they can show parents, they can do it at home, and it's an opportunity for them to have access to all of the different things that they've been learning. But the one thing I see is that even though we know it's great, some of the teachers aren't utilizing this. So it's just a matter of making sure that our teachers are really prepared, and that's going to take training and development. But I'm excited, and I think that when we fully jump on board with this technological train that's moving, our students will even be better prepared.
Yeah. And I wholeheartedly agree with that comment, because when the school that I was working with before I went out of country to teach, they gave all the kids a laptop, but they gave us teachers 4 different platforms that we had to deal with. We had one for grading, we had one for assignments, we had one for discipline, and it was too much. And then later on, I selected the best product for me, the best thing for me and for my kids, because in using one of the products that we had, they had to log in, they had to go to the classroom, they had to go to the assignment, and it was just so many layers that they had to go through. But then I was taught in a training by a group of teachers how to create a blog and, put my assignments up on there, which made it so much easier for the kids to get to. They just had to log in, go to the blog, get their assignment, click on the assignment, and get, do their quizzes and all of that. Mm-hmm. And it was so much easier. You're right. Sometimes they give us teachers a little bit too much to use, but don't give us some of the training. But I think the districts are getting so much better with that.
Yes.
So I've got a comment here. The first Apple computer that my school district bought, only to find out a year later that they would have to buy a new Apple computer to run updated software. Well, this is what is happening with iPads. I am finding out that iPads that my third grade students will not run the programs that my first grade students need. So, that's something we have to think about. Are the districts keeping up with the technology as it's, being used? Because these systems cost a lot. So
Yes, they do.
Yeah, and we've even experienced that at my school.
mm-hmm.
There has to be a limit, and we know that out there are dozens upon dozens of applications that can be downloaded to a device, especially something like an iPad. But there's also licensing, contracts, and what we don't want is for things to be used in a classroom that we later find out, as far as privacy laws and things of that nature. So our district goes through, a process where any type of applications that you want to use need to be approved by a technology department, and then they're pushed out. And that sometimes takes time, which then frustrates the teacher. But I think that we're getting better.
Oh, yeah. Now, based on the conversation we're having, what do you see as, like, some of your future thoughts or future things as far as, the utilization of technology in the classroom or the collaboration of STEM in your classroom? What would you like to push toward as the years go on? I'm going to start with Miss Smith, because Miss Smith is a little more seasoned. She's with me. She and I are together. And she's as bad as I am. She can't find her phone half the time because she's put it somewhere, and the kids are like, "It's over
there." Yep. I just asked them. It's more at their eye level.
But Miss Smith, as far as STEM is concerned, and it may not be computers, what are you wanting to try next with your students, or even with your parents, to push your kids into the STEM age or the new growth of technology and all this other stuff?
Well, I just want myself to, the opportunities are there just for things like taking a nature walk once a week and using it, like picking up things off the ground, using them for math, count how many acorns you got, how many whatever, and so I can really use the STEM and STEAM concept.
Yeah.
Maybe writing or drawing, about that, and having more active and outdoor things going on. And as you know, I already have active, and occasionally outdoor. We go for a nature walk for a specific purpose, and it would always be with a specific purpose for a lesson. But I need to work those into more lessons. And as I was reading, doing a little preparation for this radio show, reading some things, I got a little excited about expanding my thoughts and limits on what I've been thinking about, how to do certain lessons, like using more Legos to build numbers, and there's all patterns out there, but I don't want them to use a pattern. I want them to start, like, get a group together, try to figure this out together, because once they get used to it, even the 4-year-olds, you've seen them work together as a team and make not all of them, but many of them can make a plan for something and work together, and they love to experiment on it and see what works, and then they just use that as a jumping off point to go further with something.
Yeah.
But that's what I would like to do for myself.
Yeah, more problem-based learning and having them use a little bit of the engineering design process. And you know what? They can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Your kids can do it. I mean, I'm just going to say one first name, Alex. That boy's vocabulary is phenomenal. And what Lux tells me, his YouTube projects, that he's like, can we do this? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Your parents are phenomenal. They keep things kid-friendly. None of your children has asked me anything that was totally out of the box, but they have picked up things so quickly. And, I'm really proud of them.
I'm really proud of their parents, too, because it's obvious that they give them they provide life experiences with them and spend time with them in conversation, because so many of them have such a high vocabulary.
Yes.
It makes me smile all the time when I hear some big word coming out, some of those children's mouth, and they're using it correctly.
Yes. Yes.
And then or sometimes with one of the students, I'll say, oh, that is so interesting, and they'll tell me something about science. And so where did you learn that? I'll see on the Wild Kratts. It's a TV kind of a cartoon show about insects and things like that. But it's done in a fun, really fun story way.
Yep. And they pick up stuff so quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And to continue to foster that, and I like your idea about giving them a problem and letting them solve it. And Ms. Longoria, where do you want to take your school as far as collaboration in STEM and STEAM is concerned?
In regards to technology, I would like just, the reason why I love technology for creation and collaboration is because it unlocks passions for some of our kids where core content might not. They might not just be real jazzed about language arts, but they love coding, or they love robotics, or they love to use Flipgrid or Seesaw to create and to show off their work. And so I want to integrate into our curriculum next year and into our teachers' lesson planning more opportunities for our students to have activities in the classroom that allow for creation and collaboration. And we are becoming an active learning cycle next year. Okay. And so some of our teachers who are going to get on board the first year, that is part of the active learning cycle. One of the parts of the cycle is acquire. And it's how are the students going to acquire the information for this unit. And ways they can acquire it is through the teacher, through a workshop, but they also could acquire it through a video or through a blog, or through an article that they might read. And so allowing teachers to realize that they are not the only ones that hold all the information, and that our learners can access technology to learn and then to create and show products in the end that they're proud of and that they're engaged in. And I'm hoping that by doing that, our teachers will see that some of our kids who are harder to reach, or some of our kids who have behavior issues, that all goes away when we're able to tap into their passion and their interest.
Yes.
And like Mr. Boyd said, that is the world we live in. Those are the kids that we are raising and that we are creating to be life-ready learners. There's no job that they are going to have when they graduate college that is not going to require them to use technology in some way. And so just getting all of my teachers to see the importance of that. But at the same time, also seeing the importance of teaching them how to have those soft skills, like working together and collaborating and problem solving and sharing. I mean, I think there are equal parts important. So it has to be a balance, and going to be my job to kind of lead that work for them to see the importance of both.
I love that. And Principal Boyd, what are you looking at the future of your teachers, your students, your school coming up? Or what would you like to implement?
Well, I'm not. I don't want to plug like Google Classroom, even though
I love Google Classroom.
I'm so intrigued by Google Classroom, and I really want to go in that direction where there's more inquiry. Students are researching. Students are collaborating together, and not just with students who are sitting in the classroom with them, but students who are at a neighboring school or a neighboring district, across the country, across the world, tapping into opportunities for our students to, because gone is the day where the teacher in the classroom is the holder of all of the knowledge. You know, when students want to know, well, you know, how do you put this together? I'm sure there's a YouTube video that they can look up, and, you know, there's the video that shows them how to put something together. Or if they want to know, you know, how to multiply a 2 by 3 digit number, they don't have to wait on the teacher. They can look that information up and see examples, step-by-step videos. So I think we just need to, and what I'm looking forward to doing is helping my teachers understand, if you just create a lesson or activity that is open-ended, it allows on many different levels an access point for students to come in and not just use their technology, because I think Principal Longoria hit it on the head. You have to make sure that students are collaborating with each other. You have to make sure that those 21st century soft skills are able to be developed within the classroom, because we know the jobs that are out there and that our students will have are the type of jobs that students will need to use those 21st century soft skills. So I'm just looking forward to helping my teachers to get on board with that concept, so that in essence, you know, all you do is design, and then the world is there to explore for the students.
Well, yeah, based on what both of you said, I'm gonna give y'all a challenge. I don't know if you're gonna do it this year, next year, 3 years from now. I would love to work with one of your teachers and do a international classroom where, as your kids once a month connect with a class at their grade level in another country. Now, they may not be able to Skype because of the time difference, but they can work on a project or a problem and present videos with questions to communicate with students somewhere else in the world. And that's because, you know, I have a lot of contacts with teachers in different countries and different places. But I would love to put that offer out there on the table. So think about it. Mr. Principal Boyd, his head is like, yeah.
Well, no.
Yeah, I'm like over here, yes, ma'am. And I'll give this one to Principal Boyd.
No, I want you to start
Friday,
with Principal
so
Longoria.
But that would be great to do in a 4th or 5th grade class. But yeah, I hate to rush, but hey, y'all have been wonderful. You know, just listening to things that are going on in Arlington ISD and at your schools. Today I had Miss Smith, my favorite K4 teacher. She lets me come in her class and do science projects with her babies. And her principal, Miss Longoria from Hill Elementary, and Principal Boyd from Ellis Elementary. I want to thank y'all for coming on to the show. And think about my offer. I think that would be so cool.
All right, you know where to find me.
I know where to find you.
Yes, thank you for having us.
And ladies and gentlemen, this has been All About STEM Radio. And don't forget, I come to you every Wednesday from 6 to 7 o'clock on the Blue Stream. And also, we are being sponsored by Brit Technical Institute in Hurst. And as soon as they open up, I'm going to give you a lot more information over the next few months about them. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And I will be back next week. Next week is a STEAM show. I've got two musicians that are going to be on the show, and it's going to be amazing. Thank you, and bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.